What would you do if you discovered your husband was taking his mistress to her birthday dinner at the same restaurant where you work as a manager? Well, I did something that made the local news, broke the internet, and ended 3 relationships in one night. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. I wasn't the only one being lied to. Her fiancé had no idea she was cheating either. So I decided to throw her the birthday surprise of a lifetime. This is how one dinner reservation turned into the most explosive confrontation in restaurant history, and why the aftermath was even more shocking than the betrayal itself. It started on a Tuesday afternoon at Bella Vista, the upscale Italian bistro where I've been manager for 3 years. I was doing my usual review of Friday night reservations when a familiar name caught my eye. David Chin, party of 2, 7:30 p.m. special occasion notes. Birthday surprise for Amanda, champagne service, roses. David Chin. My husband of 4 years. My fingers froze over the keyboard. There had to be a mistake. David was working late Friday on his big presentation for the Morrison account. He'd been stressed about it for weeks, staying at the office until midnight, barely talking when he got home. I even felt guilty for not being more supportive. But there it was, clear as day in our reservation system. Booked 3 days ago with his credit card on file. I sat there staring at the screen, my mind racing through possibilities. Maybe it was a surprise for me? But my birthday wasn't until October and Amanda certainly wasn't my name. Maybe it was for a colleague? But David had never mentioned any Amanda. And why would he be taking a coworker somewhere so romantic? The special notes made my stomach drop. Birthday surprise for Amanda wasn't the language you'd use for a business dinner. Champagne service, roses, definitely wasn't. I called David immediately, my hands shaking as I dialed. Hey babe, he answered, sounding distracted. What's up? I'm swamped here. How's the Morrison presentation going? I asked, testing him. Brutal. Gonna be here super late Friday. Probably won't be home until after midnight. You know how these client things go. The lie came so easily. So smoothly. Like he'd practiced it. That's too bad, I managed. I was hoping we could do something nice Friday night. Sorry Sarah. Rain check. This account is make or break for my promotion. After I hung up, I sat in my office for 20 minutes just staring at the reservation screen. 4 years of marriage, 7 years together, and apparently I didn't know my husband at all. But here's the thing about working in restaurants. You develop certain skills. Reading people. Noticing patterns. Gathering information. And you have access to things most people don't. I pulled up our security footage from the past few months, searching for David's face. What I found made my blood run cold. There he was, March 15th, dinner for 2 at table 7. April 10th, lunch at table 12. May 8th, another dinner. Always with the same woman. Petite, blonde, laughs at everything he says. The kind of laugh that's too frequent, too bright. The kind that says she's either completely infatuated or really good at pretending. I screenshotted every image, my hands steady now despite the earthquake happening in my chest. Next I checked the payment records. All on David's personal credit card, the one we used for special occasions. The card I thought was for our anniversary dinners and birthday celebrations. Turns out it was just not mine. Marcus, my head server, knocked on my office door. Sarah? You okay? You've been in here for hours. Marcus had worked at Bella Vista longer than me. He'd trained me when I started as a hostess, watched me work my way up to manager. He was like the big brother I never had. Marcus, I said slowly, you remember the couple at table 7 last month? Mid-30s guy, blonde woman. His face shifted. Oh. David, and wait. He paused, studying my expression. Sarah, that was your husband, wasn't it? With another woman, yes. Marcus closed the door and sat down. We all thought. He introduced her as his wife. Said they were celebrating their anniversary. The words hit like physical blows. Their anniversary. Sarah, I'm so sorry. If we'd known. How many times, Marcus? How many times have they been here? He thought for a moment. At least 6 that I can remember. Always the same table request if possible. Always very affectionate. Affectionate. In my restaurant. With my staff serving them. While he told everyone she was his wife. I opened my laptop and pulled up Instagram, searching for Amanda with David's location tags. It didn't take long to find her. Amanda Reeves, 26, marketing coordinator at a downtown agency. Her profile was public, full of perfectly curated photos of brunches, workout sessions and professional headshots. And there, from 2 weeks ago, a photo that made my heart stop. A close-up of her left hand showing off a stunning diamond ring with the caption, "Still can't believe I'm engaged to the most amazing man. Wedding planning mode activated. Can't wait to marry my best friend M. Ring sparkles #engaged #bridetope #blessed." Not D for David. Amanda wasn't just David's mistress. She was engaged to someone else entirely. Which meant there wasn't just one person being lied to here. There were 3 of us. And suddenly, I knew exactly what I was going to do about it. The next morning, I arrived at Bella Vista 2 hours early. If I was going to uncover the truth, I needed to do it properly. Methodically. Like the professional I'd trained myself to be. I started with what I knew best, our point-of-sale system. Every transaction tells a story if you know how to read it. David's credit card history at our restaurant painted a picture that made me sick. January 12th. $127, 2 appetizers, 2 entrees, bottle of Chianti. February 9th. $98, lunch for 2, dessert to share. March 15th. $156, dinner with our premium wine pairing. April 10th. $89, another lunch, this time with champagne. May 8th. $178, our most expensive dinner menu, cocktails, the works. 6 visits. 6 dates. All while he was telling me we needed to cut back on expenses for his business investment opportunities. But the real gut punch came when I cross-referenced the dates with my own calendar. February 9th. I was working a double shift, covering for our sick sous chef. March 15th. I was at my sister's baby shower. May 8th. I was visiting my mom after her knee surgery. He'd brought his mistress to my restaurant every time I wasn't there. Like he was specifically checking my schedule to avoid getting caught. I pulled up our security footage next, going back 6 months this time. Our cameras cover every angle of the dining room, plus the entrance and bar area. What I found was worse than I'd imagined. They had a routine. A whole choreographed dance of intimacy that I recognized because it used to be ours. He'd pull out her chair the same way he used to do for me on our first dates. She'd feed him bites of dessert across the table. He'd hold her hand during coffee, thumb tracing circles on her wrist. His signature move that I thought was just for me. In one video from March, I watched him give her a small wrapped box. She opened it, gasped, and threw her arms around his neck. I zoomed in on the box, Pandora jewelry. The same store where he'd bought my engagement ring. I screenshotted everything, building a digital evidence file that would make any lawyer proud. But I wasn't planning to use it for divorce court. Not yet, anyway. The breakthrough came when I decided to dig deeper into Amanda's social media. Her Instagram was a goldmine of information, but her Facebook was even better. More personal. More real. I found photos of her with a tall, dark-haired man tagged as Marcus Rodriguez. Not Marcus, my server. This was a different Marcus. Amanda's Marcus. Her fiancé. His profile was public too, thank God. Marcus Rodriguez, 28, graphic designer at a creative agency downtown. His relationship status, engaged to Amanda Reeves. His recent posts were full of wedding planning excitement, venue shopping, cake tastings. 2 weeks ago, he'd posted a photo of engagement rings with the caption, "Can't believe we're really doing this. 6 months until I marry my best friend. Amanda Reeves, you're my whole world." 6 months. They were getting married in 6 months and she was having an affair with my husband. I scrolled through months of his posts, looking for any signs that he knew about David. Nothing. Just pure, genuine excitement about marrying a woman he clearly adored. Photos of them hiking at concerts, cooking dinner together. Normal couple stuff. Real relationship stuff. The kind of stuff David and I used to do before he got too busy with work. But here's where my restaurant training really paid off. I noticed something in the background of one of Marcus's photos from last month. A reservation confirmation email on his laptop screen. Partially visible but clear enough to make out Rossetti's Italian, and a date that matched one of David and Amanda's dinner dates. She'd been planning dates with my husband while sitting next to her fiancé, planning their wedding. I called in sick to work and spent the day becoming a detective. Amanda worked at Morrison & Associates, the same marketing firm David claimed to be pitching to for his big presentation. The presentation that was supposedly keeping him busy every Friday night. A quick call to their main number pretending to be a client confirmed what I suspected. They had no ongoing projects with David's company. No meetings scheduled. No Morrison account. It was all lies. The late nights, the business trips, the stress about work. All elaborate cover stories for his affair. But the most devastating discovery came at the end of the day. I found Amanda's wedding planning Pinterest board. Thousands of pins. Venue ideas, dress styles, flower arrangements. And there, in her honeymoon dreams section, photos of Tuscany wine tours and romantic Italian restaurants. Places that looked exactly like the spots David had promised to take me, someday when work calms down. He wasn't just cheating on me with her. He was building the life with her that he'd promised to me. But Amanda wasn't the victim here either. She was engaged to someone else, planning a wedding while carrying on an affair. Marcus was just as clueless as I was. That's when the plan started forming. If Amanda wanted to play games with multiple relationships, maybe it was time all her players met each other. After all, I was a restaurant manager. I specialized in bringing people together. And I had the perfect venue. By Thursday morning, I had a choice to make. I could confront David privately, file for divorce quietly, and let Amanda continue deceiving her fiancé. Or I could do something that would expose everyone's lies at once. I chose chaos. But strategic chaos. The kind that comes with backup plans and exit strategies. My first challenge was contacting Marcus without sounding like a complete psychopath. "Hi, stranger. Your fiancé is cheating on you with my husband," isn't exactly a conversation starter that inspires trust. I spent hours crafting the perfect message. Too much information would seem crazy. Too little would seem fake. I needed to strike the right balance of credible and urgent. Finally, I decided on LinkedIn. Professional platform, legitimate business reason to connect. I found his graphic design portfolio and sent a connection request with a message. "Hi Marcus, I'm a restaurant manager and I think we need to talk about something important regarding Amanda. I have some information you deserve to know. Would you be willing to meet for coffee? I can provide proof of what I'm about to tell you." He responded within an hour. "What kind of information? This is concerning." I sent him one photo. David and Amanda at table 7, hands intertwined, him feeding her dessert. The timestamp clearly visible. Last Friday night at 8:47 p.m. His response came 30 minutes later. "I'll meet you anywhere." When? We arranged to meet at a coffee shop downtown, neutral territory away from both our workplaces. I brought printed photos, transaction records, and a timeline I'd created showing the overlap between David's business trips and Amanda's girls' nights out. Marcus was exactly what I'd expected from his photos. Tall, genuine, the kind of guy who probably still opened doors and remembered anniversaries. The kind of guy Amanda should have appreciated instead of cheating on. He looked devastated as I laid out the evidence, but he didn't deny it or make excuses for her. Instead, he started filling in gaps I didn't even know existed. "She's been different lately," he said quietly, staring at a photo of David kissing Amanda's hand. "Secretive. Always on her phone. She said it was wedding stress, that planning was overwhelming her." "How long have you been engaged?" I asked. 8 months. We've been together 2 years. He paused. She insisted on a long engagement because she wanted everything perfect. Now I know why she needed the extra time. Then he dropped the bombshell that made everything worse. "Sarah, she's been using our wedding fund for these dates. We have a joint savings account for the wedding expenses. I've been putting in overtime, picking up freelance projects, saving every penny. Last month I noticed large withdrawals, but she said it was deposits for vendors. Caterer, photographer, dress fittings." My stomach dropped. "How much?" Over $3,000 in the past 4 months. I trusted her to handle the planning because she said I was too busy with work to deal with vendors. She wasn't just cheating on both of us. She was stealing from her own wedding fund to finance dates with my husband. Marcus, I said carefully, what if I told you there was a way to confront them both at the same time? Would you be interested? His eyes met mine. What did you have in mind? I explained Amanda's birthday dinner reservation at Bella Vista. How she was planning to celebrate with David while Marcus thought she was having a quiet night with girlfriends. How we could coordinate to expose everything publicly. She told me she was going to dinner with her co-workers from Morrison and Associates, Marcus said bitterly. Said it was a small celebration, nothing fancy. Asked me to work late so she could have girl time. So you're supposed to be busy tomorrow night? Apparently. He was quiet for a moment. You know what the worst part is? I've been planning a surprise proposal redo for next week. Bigger ring, better setting. I thought maybe the wedding stress was making her distant, so I wanted to remind her why we fell in love. The pain in his voice was raw, genuine. Everything David used to feel fake. Marcus, I need you to know, if we do this there's no going back. It'll be public, probably messy, definitely final. He nodded slowly. She's been lying to both of us for months. She's stealing money meant for our future together. And she's doing it all while wearing the engagement ring I saved 6 months to afford. His jaw tightened. I think Amanda deserves a birthday surprise she'll never forget. We spent the next 2 hours planning. Marcus would arrive at the restaurant at 8:15, after they'd ordered but before the main course. I'd position them at table 12, perfect sightlines from the entrance, maximum visibility for other diners. As restaurant manager, I had natural reasons to approach any table, check on service, handle special requests. I could coordinate the timing perfectly. One question, Marcus said as we prepared to leave. Why are you doing this publicly? Why not just divorce him quietly? I thought about David introducing Amanda as his wife to my staff. About him using our anniversary traditions with another woman. About the lies that made me question my own sanity. Because some betrayals deserve an audience, I said. And because Amanda needs to learn that actions have consequences. Marcus smiled for the first time since we'd met. Friday night it is. The game was set. 3 players, 1 restaurant, and absolutely no mercy. That evening, Marcus called me with information that made everything 10 times worse. Sarah, I went through Amanda's things after our coffee meeting. I needed to see how deep this goes. His voice was shaky like he'd been crying. It's bad. Really bad. We met again, this time at a 24-hour diner where Marcus spread out a folder of documents like he was presenting a case to a jury. First, the money, he said, sliding bank statements across the table. She didn't just take $3,000 from our wedding fund. She took $7,000. Look at these withdrawals. The statements showed a pattern of cash withdrawals and transfers dating back 8 months. Right around the time she got engaged. $200 here, $500 there, always with explanations about vendor deposits and wedding emergencies. She's been documenting every lie, Marcus continued, his graphic designer's eye for detail serving him well. Look at this. He showed me Amanda's planner filled with color-coded entries. Blue for her real schedule, pink for what she told Marcus, green for what she told David. It was a masterclass in deception. March 15th, he read aloud. Blue, dinner with David at Bella Vista. Pink, girls' night with Melissa and Kay. Green, working late on Morrison campaign. He looked up at me. She told 3 different people 3 different stories for the same night. But the most damaging evidence was her second phone. Hidden in her jewelry box, completely separate from her regular iPhone. I found David's number saved as D. Morrison Project, Marcus said bitterly. Their entire relationship is coded as a work project in this phone. Text messages going back almost a year. He scrolled through months of messages while I read over his shoulder. The progression was sickening, professional at first, then flirtatious, then explicitly romantic. Look at this one from February. Marcus pointed to a text thread. David asks her to meet at some hotel downtown. She responds with, "Can't wait to see you, baby." Marcus thinks I'm at the spa with mom. Then there's a photo. He didn't show me the photo, but his face said everything. "Marcus, I'm so sorry." "It gets worse," he said, scrolling further. "They've been planning a weekend trip to Napa Valley for next month. She told me she was going to her college roommate's bachelorette party. I even offered to help her pick out a gift." The betrayal was so systematic, so calculated. Amanda wasn't just having an affair. She was living a double life with military precision. "Here's what really kills me," Marcus continued, pulling out his laptop. "I've been documenting our relationship too, but for completely different reasons." He showed me a photo album he'd been creating as a surprise wedding gift. Hundreds of pictures chronicling their relationship from their first date to the engagement. But now, looking at them with context, the lies were obvious. This photo from Valentine's Day, he pointed to a romantic dinner shot. She said she felt sick that night, went to bed early. But look at the timestamp on her fitness tracker in the photo, 11:47 p.m. She was definitely not in bed early. He'd cross-referenced her fitness tracker data with their photo timeline. On nights she claimed to be tired, sick, or working late, her step count showed she was out and active for hours. "I'm a data visualization specialist," he said with bitter humor. "I literally make charts and graphs for a living. So I made one for our relationship." The graph he showed me was devastating. Amanda's girls' nights, work emergencies, and family obligations perfectly aligned with David's business trips and client meetings. The correlation was undeniable. "But here's the part that made me physically sick," Marcus said, pulling out one final document. "Our joint credit card statements. She's been charging her dates with David to our shared account and telling me they were pre-wedding expenses. The restaurant bills from Bella Vista were all there, along with charges for hotels, lingerie, jewelry, and expensive dinners at places Marcus had never been. This charge for $200 at Victoria's Secret? He told me it was for honeymoon lingerie. This hotel charge for $350? She said it was a deposit for our wedding night suite." I felt sick. "Marcus, this is financial fraud on top of everything else." "I know. I've been supporting her affair without realizing it. Every time I worked overtime, every freelance project I took on, every penny I saved for our future. She was spending it on him." He closed the laptop and looked at me with hollow eyes. "You know what the worst part is? I was going to surprise her with a house. I've been secretly saving for a down payment, working 60-hour weeks, living on ramen noodles. I wanted to present her with keys to our first home after the wedding." "How much did you save?" $15,000. "I was going to tell her this weekend." He laughed bitterly. "I guess that conversation won't be happening." The silence stretched between us as the weight of Amanda's betrayal settled in. She wasn't just cheating. She was systematically destroying two men who loved her while planning a future with neither. "Marcus," I said finally, "tomorrow night isn't just about exposing an affair. It's about stopping a criminal." He nodded, his designer's mind already working through the confrontation logistics. "I've been thinking about that. What if we record everything? Not for social media but for evidence. If she's committed fraud." "The restaurant has security cameras," I said. "Everything will be documented." Marcus smiled grimly. "Good. Because Amanda is about to learn that some birthday surprises come with handcuffs." Friday arrived with the kind of crisp autumn air that makes everything feel dramatic. I woke up at 5 a.m. not because of my alarm, but because my heart was racing with anticipation and terror in equal measure. Today was Amanda's birthday. Today was the day I burned my life down and rebuilt it from the ashes. I arrived at Bella Vista 3 hours early, moving through my usual opening routine with mechanical precision. Coffee brewing, lights adjusted, reservation confirmations, staff briefing. Normal manager tasks that felt surreal given what I was about to orchestrate. "Sarah, you seem different today," noticed Isabella, our head hostess. "Everything okay?" "Just a big night ahead," I said, which was the understatement of the century. Marcus texted at noon. "Still going through with this?" "Absolutely. You." She left this morning wearing the necklace I gave her for our 6-month anniversary. The irony would be funny if it wasn't so twisted. At 2 p.m. I held the most important staff meeting of my career. Tonight we have a situation developing, I announced to my team of 12. Table 12 has a reservation at 7:30. David Chin and guest. I need everyone to treat this like any other table, but be aware that there might be some drama. What kind of drama? Asked Marcus, my head server, immediately concerned. The kind where you keep serving food and pretend you don't hear raised voices, I said carefully. The kind where you absolutely do not get involved unless someone asks you to call the police. The staff exchanged glances. In 3 years as manager, I'd never given a briefing like this. Is everything okay, Sarah? Isabella asked. It will be after tonight. At 4 p.m., I positioned our security cameras for optimal coverage of Table 12. As manager, I had access to the monitoring system and I wanted every angle documented. Not for social media, for evidence. Marcus called at 5:30. She's getting ready now, he said quietly. Spent 2 hours on her hair and makeup. She's wearing the dress I bought her for our engagement dinner. She asked me to work late tonight so she could celebrate with the girls. How are you holding up? I keep thinking about the house money. $15,000 I saved by eating 50-cent ramen for months while she spent our wedding fund on hotel rooms with your husband. His voice was steel now. I'm ready, Sarah. More than ready. Remember, you arrive at 8:15. They'll be between appetizer and main course. I'll be doing my normal rounds so my presence won't seem unusual. And after we let the pieces fall where they may. At 6 p.m. my phone buzzed with a text from David. Working late tonight. Big breakthrough on the Morrison project. Don't wait up. I responded with a heart emoji, playing the supportive wife one last time. By 7 p.m., Bella Vista was humming with typical Friday night energy. Couples celebrating anniversaries, friends catching up over wine, business dinners wrapping up successful weeks. Normal people living honest lives, unaware that Table 12 was about to become ground zero for the most explosive confrontation in restaurant history. At 7:25, I watched through the window as David's BMW pulled into the parking lot. He got out first, then walked around to open Amanda's door, the gentleman's gesture he'd stopped doing for me years ago. She emerged wearing a stunning black dress, her blonde hair perfectly styled, carrying a small clutch that probably cost more than most people's weekly salary. She looked radiant, excited, completely unaware that her birthday was about to become a day she'd never forget for all the wrong reasons. They walked toward the entrance holding hands, David's other hand carrying a small wrapped gift. Probably jewelry. Probably expensive. Probably bought with money he claimed we didn't have for our own anniversary dinner last month. Showtime, I whispered to myself. Isabella greeted them at the hostess stand with professional warmth. Good evening. Reservation for Chin, party of 2? That's us, David smiled. Birthday celebration tonight. Wonderful. Right this way. I watched from the kitchen doorway as Isabella led them to Table 12, exactly where I needed them. Perfect sight lines from the entrance, optimal camera coverage, and position so every other table would have a clear view of whatever was about to happen. David pulled out Amanda's chair, kissed her cheek as she sat down, then took his seat facing the dining room. He looked relaxed, confident, probably thinking about how smoothly he'd managed his double life. Amanda was glowing, checking her phone and laughing at something David said. She had no idea that her fiancé was sitting in his car outside, waiting for my signal. At 8:10 I sent Marcus the text. They're seated. Main course orders just went to kitchen. 5 minutes. His response was immediate. On my way in. I smoothed my manager's blazer, checked my reflection in the stainless steel refrigerator door and took a deep breath. Time to give Amanda the birthday surprise of a lifetime. At 8:14 Marcus walked through the front door of Bella Vista and my heart stopped. He'd dressed for the occasion. Dark jeans, button-down shirt, the kind of understated confidence that comes from knowing you're about to deliver justice. He caught my eye across the dining room and nodded once. Game time. I watched David and Amanda from the kitchen pass through. They were deep in conversation, Amanda opening the small gift David had brought. Even from across the room I could see her delighted gasp as she pulled out what looked like diamond earrings. Earrings that probably cost more than David had spent on me in the past 6 months. Sarah, Marcus the server appeared beside me. Table 12's entrees are ready. Perfect timing. I'll deliver them personally, I said, picking up the plates. VIP service for special occasions. I walked across the dining room with professional composure, balancing 2 plates of our signature osso buco. Other diners barely glanced up. Just another manager providing excellent service. Good evening, I said warmly, setting down their plates. How are we enjoying our birthday celebration tonight? David looked up and I watched his face cycle through confusion, recognition, and pure terror in about 3 seconds. Sarah. His voice cracked. What are you doing here? I work here, remember? I smiled pleasantly. I'm the manager. This is my restaurant. Amanda was staring at me now, fork halfway to her mouth, clearly trying to place where she knew me from. The company events. The few times our paths had crossed when I'd visited David's office. She started. Sarah Chin, I said, extending my hand in mock politeness. David's wife. We've met briefly before. The color drained from Amanda's face, but David recovered first. Honey, what a coincidence, he said, his voice artificially bright. Amanda, this is my wife Sarah. Sarah, Amanda is a colleague from the Morrison account. The lie came so smoothly, so automatically. Even caught red-handed, he was still lying. Colleague, I repeated thoughtfully. Is that what we're calling it? That's when Marcus appeared beside our table. Amanda. His voice was calm, controlled, but I could hear the pain underneath. What a surprise to see you here. Amanda dropped her fork. It clattered against the plate loud enough to make nearby diners look over. Marcus? What? How did you? I thought you were working late. Change of plans, Marcus said, pulling out the empty chair at their table for 2 and sitting down uninvited. Interesting birthday celebration you're having. Very intimate. David was looking between Marcus and Amanda like he was watching a tennis match. I'm sorry, who are you? Marcus Rodriguez, he said, extending his hand to David. Amanda's fiancé. The silence that followed was deafening. You could have heard a champagne cork drop. David's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Amanda went so pale I thought she might faint. Fiancé. David's voice was barely a whisper. 8 months now, Marcus said conversationally, reaching into his jacket pocket. Would you like to see the ring I gave her? Oh wait, she's wearing it. All eyes went to Amanda's left hand, where a beautiful solitaire diamond caught the restaurant lighting. The ring she'd been wearing throughout her entire affair with my husband. Amanda, David said slowly, you told me you were single. And she told me, Marcus continued, that she was having dinner with her female co-workers tonight. Funny how stories change. I was still standing beside the table, watching the drama unfold like a perfectly choreographed play. Other diners were definitely staring now, conversations at nearby tables dropping to whispers. This is all a misunderstanding. Amanda finally found her voice. Marcus, you shouldn't be here. David, I can explain. Explain what? I interrupted quietly. How you've been stealing from your wedding fund to pay for dates with my husband. How you've been using a separate phone to coordinate your affair. Or how you've been wearing your engagement ring to romantic dinners with another man. Amanda's eyes went wide. How do you know about the phone? The money? The lies? Marcus reached into his other pocket and pulled out her secret device. Because we've been comparing notes, Amanda. Turns out you've been lying to both of us. David was staring at the phone like it was a weapon. You have another phone? This is insane. Amanda stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. I'm not doing this here. Not in public. Sit down, I said firmly, my manager voice cutting through her panic. You wanted a birthday dinner in my restaurant? Then you're going to finish it. The authority in my voice must have surprised her because she sat. Here's what's going to happen, I continued, my professional composure intact despite my racing heart. You're going to listen while Marcus and I share what we've discovered about your interesting approach to relationships. Then you're going to explain to David how you funded your affair with him using money meant for your wedding to Marcus. Marcus pulled out a folder. The same evidence he'd shown me earlier. Should we start with the bank statements or the timeline of lies? Amanda looked around desperately, probably hoping for an escape route. But we'd chosen our location perfectly. Table 12 was surrounded by other diners, all of whom were now openly watching the most dramatic dinner service of their lives. "Happy birthday, Amanda," I said softly. "Hope you're enjoying your surprise party." Marcus opened the folder with the precision of a prosecuting attorney presenting evidence to a jury. The entire dining room had gone quiet except for the soft jazz playing overhead, creating the most surreal soundtrack to a relationship apocalypse. "Let's start with the timeline," Marcus said, spreading out Amanda's color-coded planner. "Blue entries are what actually happened. Pink entries are what you told me. Green entries are what you told David." David leaned forward, his face a mixture of fascination and horror as he read the entries. "March 15th, Marcus read aloud. Blue, dinner with D at Bella Vista. Pink, girls' night with Kay and Melissa. Green, working late on Morrison campaign." He looked up at David. "There is no Morrison campaign, by the way. I called their office." David's face went white. "You what?" "The company Amanda works for has never heard of you or your business," I added helpfully. "That presentation you've been so stressed about? The one keeping you out late every Friday? It doesn't exist." Amanda was gripping her champagne glass so tightly I thought it might shatter. "You had no right to investigate fraud?" Marcus interrupted, pulling out bank statements. "Because that's what this is, Amanda. You've stolen $7,000 from our joint wedding account to fund your affair." He spread the statements across the table like a dealer showing cards. Other diners at nearby tables were craning their necks to see, not even pretending to look away anymore. "This charge for $156 at Bella Vista on March 15th. Marcus pointed to a highlighted entry. "You told me it was a deposit for our wedding venue. This hotel charge for $350? You said it was for our honeymoon planning session." David was staring at the statements in shock. "You've been paying for our dates with your fiancé's money?" "It gets better," I said, unable to keep the satisfaction out of my voice. "Show him the second phone, Marcus." Marcus placed Amanda's secret device on the table. "She has you saved as D. Morrison Project. Your entire relationship is categorized as a work assignment." David picked up the phone with shaking hands, scrolling through months of messages. His face grew darker with each text he read. "Can't wait to see you tonight, baby. Em thinks I'm at yoga," he read aloud. "Marcus is working late, perfect time for hotel visit. Just told him I'm having dinner with work friends, see you at 8. Them references hit David like physical blows. This whole time you've been planning around him?" "David," Amanda started, tears streaming down her perfectly made-up face. "You don't understand." "No, I understand perfectly," David cut her off, his voice rising for the first time. "I understand that I left my wife thinking I was building a life with you, and you were just using me as entertainment between wedding planning sessions." The irony was incredible. David was angry at Amanda for exactly what he'd been doing to me. "And this," Marcus said, pulling out printed screenshots from Amanda's social media, "is from last week. Can't wait to marry my best friend in 6 months. Marcus is my whole world." He looked at David. "Posted the same day she texted you about being ready to take things to the next level." I watched David's face crumble as he realized he wasn't Amanda's escape from a bad relationship. He was her side entertainment while she planned her real future with someone else. "The wedding is in 4 months, Marcus continued relentlessly. "She's been picking out flowers and tasting cakes while scheduling hotel visits with you. She asked me to work overtime to pay for a dress she'll wear while promising to love, honor, and cherish me forever." That's when Amanda finally snapped. "Enough," she screamed, standing up so fast her chair toppled backward. "You want to humiliate me? Fine. Yes, I was seeing David. Yes, I took money from our account. But you know what, Marcus? You're boring. You work all the time, you never take me anywhere exciting, and you proposed with a ring half the size of what my friends got. The restaurant went dead silent. Even the kitchen seemed to stop working. And David, she turned to my husband, mascara streaming down her cheeks, you're pathetic. A married man sneaking around like a teenager, lying to your wife about fictional business meetings. I was going to break up with you after the wedding anyway. Marcus stood up calmly, pulled out his wallet and placed $200 on the table. For dinner and damages, he said to me professionally. Then he looked at Amanda. The engagement is off. I'll have your things packed by Sunday. Don't come home tonight. David was still staring at the evidence spread across the table like he couldn't process what had happened. As for you, I said, turning to my husband, you can pick up your belongings tomorrow. I'll be filing for divorce on Monday, and my lawyer will be very interested in these financial records showing you've been using our joint credit card for your affair. Amanda was sobbing now, probably realizing she'd just lost 2 relationships and a wedding in under 10 minutes. The best part, Marcus said, gathering his evidence. This whole thing is on security camera. Bella Vista records everything for insurance purposes. He was right. Every word, every revelation, every meltdown was documented in high definition. As Marcus walked toward the exit, he paused at our table one more time. Oh, and Amanda, happy birthday. Consider this our gift to you, the truth. The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of Amanda's sobbing and the gentle clink of other diners' silverware as the restaurant slowly returned to normal. Justice, it turned out, was a dish best served with osso buco and a side of public humiliation. 6 months after what social media dubbed the birthday breakdown of Bella Vista, my life had transformed in ways I never could have imagined. The video went viral within hours. 3 different customers had filmed Amanda's meltdown, and by midnight #BellaVistaBirthday was trending locally. The footage of a woman screaming about her fiancé being boring, while her married lover sat in stunned silence, struck a nerve with thousands of people who'd been betrayed themselves. But the real surprise was how the public responded to the restaurant. Instead of viewing it as a place of drama, people saw Bella Vista as a symbol of truth and accountability. We became the restaurant where justice was served alongside our signature osso buco. Reservations tripled. Food bloggers started calling us the most honest restaurant in the city. The corporate office noticed. 3 months after the confrontation, I was promoted to regional manager, overseeing 5 locations. Turns out, managing a personal crisis with professional grace while maintaining perfect customer service impressed the higher-ups more than any training seminar ever could. You handled an impossible situation with dignity, my district manager said during the promotion meeting. That's the kind of leadership we need. Marcus and I stayed in touch, bonding over the shared experience of systematic betrayal. He'd thrown himself into his graphic design work, channeling his pain into creating stunning visual campaigns that landed him 3 major clients. Heartbreak makes you hungry for success, he told me over coffee one afternoon. I've never worked so hard or felt so focused. But the biggest surprise came 4 months after the birthday disaster. Marcus called me on a Tuesday evening, his voice excited in a way I hadn't heard since before he discovered Amanda's lies. Sarah, you need to see this. Can you meet me for dinner? Not at Bella Vista, he added quickly. Somewhere neutral. We met at a quiet cafe downtown, and Marcus pulled out his laptop with the grin of someone about to share the best gossip of the year. Remember how Amanda said she was going to break up with David after our wedding anyway? Marcus asked, opening a browser window. Unfortunately, yes. Well, turns out she had a backup plan. Actually, make that a backup person. He turned the laptop toward me, showing Amanda's Instagram profile. The bio now read, engaged to my soulmate. 3rd time's the charm. Ring sparkles #new beginnings. The photos told an incredible story. Amanda, wearing a different engagement ring, posed with a man who definitely wasn't David or Marcus. The timeline of posts suggested she'd been dating this new guy for at least 3 months before our restaurant confrontation. Meet Trevor Montgomery, Marcus said, scrolling through tagged photos. Investment banker, drives a Tesla, apparently proposed with a ring that meets Amanda's size requirements. I stared at the screen in disbelief. She was cheating on both of you with a third person? Gets better. I did some investigating. Old habits die hard. Trevor works for the same investment firm that handles Amanda's company's retirement accounts. She met him during a financial planning seminar in January. 2 months before our coffee shop meeting. Amanda had been managing 3 relationships simultaneously while planning a wedding with Marcus and stealing money to fund dates with David. But here's the truly unbelievable part, Marcus continued, pulling up another screenshot. Trevor's previous Instagram posts show he was engaged to someone else until February. A woman named Jennifer who, according to her social media, had no idea why he suddenly broke up with her. The pattern was becoming clear. Amanda wasn't just a cheater. She was a serial relationship destroyer who moved through men like a tornado, leaving devastation in her wake. I reached out to Jennifer, Marcus admitted. Figured she deserved to know what kind of man she dodged a bullet with. Turns out Trevor told her he needed space to focus on his career. Sound familiar? I laughed despite myself. Let me guess. Amanda told Trevor that you and David were just friends? Close. According to Jennifer's conversation with Trevor, Amanda claimed she was recently divorced and just starting to date again. The audacity was breathtaking. Amanda had constructed an entire false identity for each relationship, maintaining separate narratives that allowed her to juggle multiple men without any of them suspecting the others existed. Are you going to warn Trevor? I asked. Marcus shook his head. I thought about it. But honestly, some people have to learn lessons the hard way. Besides, Jennifer is handling that. Jennifer contacted him? Better. She sent him our restaurant video with a note that said, "Thought you'd want to see your fiancé's previous performance." Apparently, Trevor's been very quiet on social media since then. As for David, he'd moved back in with his parents after I filed for divorce. The joint credit card statements showing his affair expenses made the financial settlement very straightforward. My lawyer called it the easiest adultery case she'd ever handled. He keeps trying to contact me, I told Marcus. Emails, texts, even showed up at the restaurant once. Says he realizes now that he made a mistake. What do you tell him? Nothing. I blocked his number, and the restaurant staff has instructions to call security if he shows up again. The truth was, I felt nothing for David anymore. Not anger, not sadness, not even satisfaction at his downfall. The man I'd loved for 7 years had turned out to be a stranger, and you can't mourn someone who never really existed. You know what's funny? Marcus said, closing his laptop. 6 months ago we thought we were the victims. Now I realize Amanda did us both a favor. She showed us who we really are when everything falls apart. He was right. I discovered I was stronger than I ever imagined, capable of strategic thinking under pressure and professional excellence during personal chaos. And Marcus had learned he deserved someone who appreciated his loyalty and hard work instead of exploiting it. To Amanda, I raised my coffee cup in a mock toast. For teaching us that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing that could have happened. Marcus clinked his cup against mine. And to birthday surprises that change everything. 6 months later we were both better, stronger, and infinitely wiser. Sometimes justice really is a dish best served cold, with a side of personal growth and a happy ending nobody saw coming.